the reality with AI is that we got to jump. And if you're going to jump, you need commitment. You need the ability, you need trust across the board that effectively you're going to jump without ramifications of, you know, landing in the wrong place or whatever it might be. You need to be able to continuously iterate. You need to be able to continuously talk about what's happening. So communications is super
Yeah,
important to the whole
yeah.
conversation.
They
Keeping
make it
to learn for sure.
part of everyday conversation rather
It
than
has to flow. I think, in the C-suite and certainly at a leadership perspective, there is 100% a fear of FOMO because competition is rife and it's important to differentiate. And the reality is, back to my financial point earlier, like there are financial outcomes to achieve. But if you don't know where you're going, so if you don't know what your end state is and you don't know what problem you're trying to solve, then AI becomes a solution without a problem. And if you don't know what
that's
that
another thing.
problem is, you're going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
continue to spin. You're going to make different
yeah.
choices. You're going to spin every time somebody new comes along. So for me, my conversations with the companies that I'm currently advising are very much about, like, what is the problem you're trying to solve? And what is the solution to that problem? And how easy is it to bring those two things together? And when you're engaging with customers, vendors, partners, whomever it might be, you kind of have to be able to understand what are the problems that they're equally seeking to solve for, and how does your solution fit into theirs, as opposed to everybody thinking that there's this great AI solution, overnight it's going to be solved and we're all going to win. Like, I've done large scale transformation and integrations over the years, and it's not just enough to say let's build this experience differently and let's use this new platform. It's, well, what's the reason why we've got this experience in the first instance? What's not working? What is working? How does it flow through? What's the friction associated with it? Is it a problem that the customers are having? How do I have to change the training and education of the people I'm engaging with in order to be able to do their jobs more effectively? How do you continue to keep it flowing? So I think it's really about trying to figure out, what is your problem? What is this, solution? And then how do those two things come together? Because actually, if you can really ground yourself in that, I think you start to be able to have that commitment to that end state, and it becomes easier to communicate and keep evolving throughout the time period in order to get to that end state at the end of the day.
That's cool. You mentioned you have managed large scale transformations, and I have seen you since you were with Comcast for a few years, and I've been watching your work.
Thank you.
What suggestion that you can give to other executives in this AI era for marketers,
Mm.
that what are those low hanging fruits in the AI transformation that marketers can follow for quick win? What are use cases, in other words, that you can suggest?
Yeah, I think you know more about the problems that your customers are having than maybe you let on or realize at the end of the day. And so getting deep knowledge into the fallout that's occurring in terms of your
Defining problems
experiences. Yeah.
for
Like,
anything else.
for me it would be, coming from my old world, it would have been, why are customers having to call a call center? Why do they have to engage with a chatbot? Do they have to go into a retail store? What are the reasons for that engagement? Because all that does, if it's not deliberately set up in that way, it causes customers not to trust the experience that they're having. It causes customers to second guess the experiences they're having, and it stops them from engaging with alternative methods that are maybe much more time efficient for themselves and cost efficient for the business. And so starting there allows you to see, oh, that maybe the use case that I had considered playing with is actually not as problematic as it looks like. And maybe I should take a different tact and go down a different path. So grounding yourself in what the problems are based upon the data is a really good position to come from, because suddenly you start to see kind of what the customers are seeing and maybe see a little bit more transparently than maybe what you are thinking based upon, what you think people should be going after or what you think is the kind of low hanging fruit. I think secondly, finding ways to engage with your technology team is super important. I have never operated in any of my roles without technology right beside me, making sure that they are part of the conversation and part of the problem. And then at the other side, making sure that finance are part of the conversation and part of the problem. Because effectively that kind of trifecta of finance, CX, and technology is a pretty special trifecta if you can get it together, because suddenly you're moving all together in the same direction. You're identifying what your problems are. Finance are helping you create the ROI and identifying where the benefit to the business is. And technology is equally identifying maybe what changes they can make to the middleware, the APIs, the infrastructure, whatever it might be, in order for quick wins to occur that maybe don't require massive large scale transformation or large scale change, and it allows you to then start to think about, okay, actually, I can pivot and go into a different direction.